Welcome back to Niaga AWANI. My name is Nabila Khalida, taking over from my colleague Alia Haris Ashraf Asnan. And as you can see, we're still broadcasting live here at Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre for KL20 Summit 2024 inaugural event to not just leverage the whole startup scenes, but the whole ecosystem, which include investments as well. And this is officiated by the government, MOF, Minister of Finance, Minister of Economy, and also MOSTI. So to join me to discuss further, joining me on the line, joining me here right now this morning is the founding partner of Openspace Ventures, Hian Goh. Welcome. Hian, how are you? Good morning.
Thank you for having me on the show today.
No problem. Thank you for making time as well. Firstly, we could start by maybe how can you describe about the whole startup scene right now in Malaysia, and perhaps what are the loopholes or challenges that we can face, and how can we overcome the challenges?
Absolutely. So Openspace Ventures is a quick introduction. Started 10 years ago. I was an entrepreneur. I ran a TV network called the Asian Food Channel. Hopefully Malaysians remember that fondly. But I knew firsthand how tough it was to be an entrepreneur. And so I decided to be a venture capitalist, and today Openspace Ventures, we have 850 assets under management, but more importantly, we are Southeast Asian specialists. So we have offices in every one of the countries. And I'm proud to say that yesterday we announced that we will be opening an office here. We've been coming up and down, but really to establish a presence because we think the time is now. The time is ready for Malaysia to actually have very asymmetric advantages when it comes to the startup ecosystem.
If we, I mean, you're no stranger to the whole startup or ecosystem, and you've funded companies like Gojek, GrabFood, Love Bonito, which is such big companies right now, and you've made such a good impact towards the whole ecosystem. Perhaps what are specific criteria in sectors or industry that you look into when it comes to investing to the economy? Yeah,
so I think the most important thing about the Malaysian ecosystem, first and foremost, very hardworking entrepreneurs, hardworking English-speaking workforce. We look for that. Cost structure is really, really good. We find that a lot of Malaysian startups get to break even faster than a lot of the others in ASEAN. What we want to do is to supercharge the ecosystem. The government already has done a lot of work seeding a lot of seed stage companies. We're starting to see them go to Series A. But where are the big companies, right? Where are all the, I mean, we can name a few of them, but we need more of them. And so Openspace specializes in really working one-on-one with companies. You know, we have a portfolio success team. So we come in, we do things like even rebrand the company, give advice, HR, how to scale your company. We have in-house AI specialists, you know. So for a lot of that kind of very dedicated one-on-one support, that's where we come in, and we want to bring more of the earlier Malaysian startups right to the end game, the big ones that can, you know, revitalize or change the economy. That's why venture capital is very important. You know, for example, we did, you know, Gojek back in the day. We made under sort of like just around 10 million investment, but that catalyzed 6.1 billion over 10 years. Venture has that capability. So that's what we're seeing in Malaysia, that opportunity to really graduate these startups that we're seeing now.
And when we talk about initiatives, honestly speaking, in Malaysia itself, we have a lot of initiatives when it comes to bringing startups to a whole another level, a higher level. But perhaps this KL20 is a game changer for the whole ecosystem, startup ecosystem, and also investments. But if we look at another country from the same region, we have Indonesia, and then we have Singapore, which is already a step ahead. If we compare Malaysia and these two countries, what can we adopt from them, the best practices that we can adopt and also imply to Malaysia?
Well, you know, they have a saying, right? We have many, many children and all of them are equal. You just have to find their strengths and weaknesses. We were very privileged to have Minister Rafizi visit, you know, the delegation came to Singapore a year ago and really highlighted, you know, the opportunity in Malaysia. I was the first person to indicate to Minister Rafizi that, you know, it took Singapore 10 years to get to where you are today, and I feel like Malaysia is already halfway there. So number one, patience, and it will come. Number two, when it comes to Indonesia, I think Indonesia has got a lot of capital, absolutely for sure. But what is the rationale? Is it because it's a big market? Well, if you add Malaysia and Singapore together, actually it's a country with a GDP roughly around the size of Indonesia in 2018. And yet we have, a GDP per capita. Look, if you put the two countries together, I'm saying this on national TV, but we put it together, it's a very powerful combination. So I'm also trying to make sure that people understand that this side, Malaysia, Singapore, hinterland, Malaysia's got great manufacturing, Singapore's got good R&D. We need to cooperate, and then actually we are as big as Thailand, as big as Indonesia. So we solve the problem that way. Yeah.
And speaking of which, the whole market, market is evolving.
Yes, it is.
Not just startups, but the whole market of the economy as well. Yeah. And during the evolvement, we have technological advancement as well.
Yes, yes.
So how do you manage through Openspace Ventures? Yes. How do you manage the fast pace of technological advancement to stay always a step ahead when it comes to the market of startups?
Well, as venture capitalists, we just have to do one very simple thing, which is to figure out what happens in the next 3 years' time. It's not that simple, right? In the case of Malaysia, what is that thing that I believe in 3 years' time I should buy a piece of property here in Kuala Lumpur, KLCC? It's simply because not only do you have the existing startups, the semiconductor sector has really been driving the foreign direct investments. I checked the figures. $40 billion came into Malaysia, doubling the FDI. A lot of that was coming from the semiconductor industry. Now, why is that? It's simply because people now feel like, you know what, I need to have bases around the world. I need to have redundancy after COVID-19. And Malaysia, with a 50-year heritage of semiconductor manufacturing, now our organization, Openspace, one of our specializations is actually in deep tech and actually in semiconductor. Many, many years ago, I was a semiconductor banker. So we differentiate ourselves perhaps with our peer group by really focusing on it. I've met fantastic chip design companies. I've met a lot of startup companies and startup things which are different flavor from, say, Indonesia, say, Singapore. And our job is to really find these asymmetric opportunities, and that is one of them in Malaysia. So you add the multinationals coming in, you add the startups coming in, I think it's a very good opportunity. That's why I'm here, and I've been here for 2 days, and I've been very impressed with the quality. KL20, I would say, is a game changer only because now Malaysia can potentially get itself as a neutral ground, right? The Switzerland of silicon, right? Because you have +1 into Malaysia, and you can export around the world. That is not the case for every single country today in the world.
All right, previously when we talk about startups, not to say only, but the aim is to get more unicorns in Malaysia. Right now we only have one, which is Carsome, but right now the shift has the aim has shifted towards getting more global startups come to Malaysia and making Malaysia as a top 20 hub. And as well, yesterday it announced the action plan, KL20 action plan, aims to achieve 400 billion ringgit startup valuation by 2030. So we have about 6 years left. Is that achievable?
What is that? 400 billion ringgit, right? So that's 100 billion US dollars. So the question you're asking is, can we see $100 billion worth of market cap
and
in
top
the next
20 hub as well?
A top 20 hub. A total or just one company?
Perhaps total in total.
Well, I tell you what, I think the word unicorn, is such an easy thing to understand. But as venture capitalists, what we want to do is just build resilient companies, right? Companies that endure, and if they happen to be billion-dollar companies, that is great. One thing that I think is going to work for Malaysia is that the momentum is there. The administration is strong. I think that the geopolitics are favoring ASEAN, and within ASEAN, it would be Malaysia, especially for technology. I think Malaysia still has about 24% manufacturing sector, so services is very, very, very big. But we also need to shift the services sector to more white-collar jobs. Tourism was very important for the ASEAN countries, and COVID showed, that we need to be more resilient. So these are all the opportunities. What we need is myself to come here, my fellow venture capitalists from across the region, specialist venture capitalists from around the world, and also let's not be afraid of, say, people coming here to Malaysia. Let's, welcome, say, the Eastern European AI specialists. These people they love to be in Kuala Lumpur. You know, they're hiding probably in Bangkok, and they're hiding in Bali, and they're typing away the computer, doing remote teams and surfing. Singapore is not the competition. It's these wonderful, beautiful places that are the competition to Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur. You're an English-speaking nation. We have to convince these people to fly here and see how you can actually build a workforce, cost-effective workforce, that would add to the targets of the ministry, of the government, of the administration. I'm confident it will happen. Yeah.
But what are the best strategies? Because it's no brainer that it's hard to compete with the nation among the region as well. And perhaps how can we strategically use funds that was announced yesterday? Malaysia's Sovereign Wealth Fund, Khazanah, will set up a venture capital of 3 billion ringgit with 2 other partners to invest in startups in Southeast Asia. And how can we strategically use these funds to make Malaysia as the hub, top 20 hub?
I think what the administration, the best way of giving a computer analogy is very open architecture, right? So this capital is there, but I think they should be using it to find the best of every one of the single different verticals and encouraging them to come to Malaysia. And of course, if you know this after a long period of time becomes a place that is not successful, then that capital, you know, either you have to recharge it, and what you want is a critical mass. So I think this open architecture where they announce from Khazanah to actually invest in multiple places, to be very neutral, to be very sort of welcoming to have people here, I think that's a great step. The partners then have to spend meaningful time here, must do technology transfer, must train the workforce, must come into new sectors. So I give you an example. So everyone's been talking about semiconductors, right? What about agri-tech? You know, we've got a great company called Nutrition Technologies in Johor Bahru doing insect protein, right? And the team there is both Malaysian and overseas people. And they're really, really good. We think they're one of the world cost leaders in insect protein. These are the kind of win-win partnerships that I think Malaysia should seek. As Khazanah and all these other government institutions provide some incentive capital, then they come to Malaysia, but that cross-pollination must happen so that overall the technology and the productivity of a nation increases.
But of course, as a local, I mean, if you talk to anyone, they prefer to have their business or the entrepreneurial journey become globally or worldwide, and they become to attracted or invested towards the outside venture capitalists. So what can you say about that? And perhaps what are the specific sector industry that you look forward that will become the more interesting sectors for venture capitalists to invest?
So for us, I think there are a couple of places we would focus on, and we believe that if done correctly, these can be global opportunities in no order of preference. Of course, semiconductors. You know, you also have things like logistics hubs. I think that Malaysia is really good for a landing point for ASEAN to distribute goods and services. I think that agri-tech, if you get it correct, you can really export that know-how across the whole of the world. And these are just the 3 of the sectors I think we are focusing on. Yes. Yeah.
And as a venture capitalist, how do you foresee the whole ecosystems? We have a lot of initiatives as well, especially during the budget tabling 2024 in Malaysia, and now we have KL20 action plan. Perhaps what are the trajectory moving forward? What's next for Malaysia, not just Malaysia, but the whole region?
Okay, so I think the whole region has gone through an up, a very big up, and then now it feels a little bit down. But I always tell entrepreneurs that this is the best time to start a company because everything is cost effective, your team members stay with you, and you have time to build a company. And then on the investment side, us venture capitalists, you know, I would just say we're not so competitive anymore, right? We need to collaborate because now we want to make sure that all these companies get supported. I think it's always challenging when there's too much capital in the market. It feels like there's too little now, but I think that means that in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see a nice trajectory on that. So I think the future is very bright. Valuations are fair to us, fair to the entrepreneurs. You can really build a good partnership with the team. That's what Openspace does. Yes.
For Openspace Ventures itself, what's the aim, or perhaps what's the long-term aim? Because I've seen that you achieved a lot of achievements for Openspace Ventures. Perhaps what are the what are in line for Openspace Ventures?
Oh, so in regards to us, I think that we will just continue to do what we always do. We're specialists. We're doubling down on Southeast Asia. We're not, say, for example, going and trying to do India or going up north. We're going to stick to Southeast Asia, and then we're going to add Malaysia into the overall holistic picture of the coverage we have. And we hope that the Malaysian entrepreneurs will benefit from this network to expand in Malaysia, expand ASEAN, and hopefully expand around the world as well.
But do you plan to collaborate with other stakeholders such as governments, accelerators, industry experts? Right now, I believe you do have collaborating with some of the that I mentioned earlier, but in the future, perhaps, towards a bigger scale.
We hope to have a deeper roots, so that means collaborating with Credo, collaborating with capital providers like Khazanah and all these fantastic people like Kuap as well, adding to our investor base, having more Malaysian investors. Absolutely, that would be fantastic for us. It really, as a partnership with the firm, we get the mandate to say, we have to really focus on Malaysia. So the conversations are ongoing. Nothing is announced, but we did sign an LOI to say we're opening up an office. My team members are off the camera here. We're here to stay, yes.
And besides seeding or beyond financial banking, how does Openspace Ventures help these entrepreneurs and these startups? Perhaps do you provide also mentorship and also support?
Yes, mentorship is very important, but I think we do more than just mentorship. What do I mean by that? So, venture capital always have a lot of advisors. Entrepreneurs can come and get some advice, have a cup of coffee. We're slightly different. We actually have what we call a portfolio success team. And so that is a specialist in-house, full-time, people that we pay, the entrepreneur doesn't have to pay, AI specialists, tech specialists, branding specialists, HR specialists, and of course the investment team. Basically, 9 times out of 10, we help raise money for them. So that's how Openspace, I feel, has been successful over the past 10 years in supporting entrepreneurs. And the best way of gauging that is you have to talk to the entrepreneurs. Being an entrepreneur myself, I value very much what entrepreneurs have as feedback. I always say it's a bit like going to the dentist. If you did a bad job, they will recommend it. That is very serious for us. And the portfolio success team means that we don't just give capital. And venture capitalists have many strategies. For us, we don't just give capital. We give advice, we sit on the board, we journey with them, and we journey with people for 10 years. And to me, in my website, my saying, if you go to the team page, is the time it takes to be an overnight success is about 10 years. So we are very, very patient.
10 years is
Yes.
actually a short time if
it's
you're
a
in
short
the industry. But speaking of which, the word or the keyword when it comes to startups or the whole ecosystem of investments, the keyword is diversity. And when we talk about diversity and inclusion are increasingly important topics in the venture capital world. And so how does Openspace Ventures approach investing in diverse founders and supporting underrepresented communities?
So for us already, we look across and we want to encourage more diversity, more women to become founders, join the firm. But it doesn't happen overnight. A couple of initiatives. First and foremost, we're very lucky that of the 3 partners, Jessica, who actually runs the growth team, so it's like 1 out of 3 of us. That's not bad. Half of our firm is actually women. Large majority of those are actually investment professionals. But you know what happened? I want to shout this out. Really good initiative is called Open Hours, where we actually organize mentorship for women who want to work in venture. And the program has just finished the application. We do this every year. I've been told we've done almost a cohort now, 3 cohorts, about 120 women have gone one-on-one mentorship with Openspace VCs, and now we open it up with other VCs. I think you start with the investors being women as well as men, and then automatically you have diversity baked in. The other thing for us is it's very important to be diverse. Diversity creates orthogonal thinking, creative idea, different perspectives, helps you risk manage. And so for us, Openspace, I'm just a Singaporean, but my colleagues are Vietnamese, Thai, Indonesian, Philippines, and the folks here in Malaysia they are Malaysians. It's a representative of the ASEAN spirit,
yes,
if
the
I would say.
ASEAN region. Yeah. And perhaps we have about 2 to 3 minutes left. And as a founder yourself and as a venture capitalist, what can you say to the entrepreneurs and the potential entrepreneurs, potential owner of startups out there? How can they secure funding, and also how can they grow and also foster innovation in the long term?
Yeah. So the way we look about it is you need 3 ingredients. They're hard to establish, but I call it P, P, and E. People, product, and exit. So the team has to be good. The product must have some traction already so that we can evidence it. But also, most importantly, if you're going to journey for 10 years, is that a product and service that the world really wants, such that you can IPO it, or you can be a part of a larger group through an acquisition. So P, P, and E, think about all of that. I think the last 2 are possibly very qualitative, qualitative, very easy. Quantitative, very easy to measure with numbers. The qualitative one, which is people, is very hard. So what do we look out for? Well, I like to look for people with an unreasonable conviction. Really first principles thinking. But to me, unreasonable just means that it's somewhere in the future, right? Love bonito. No one's going to wear clothing, buy clothing without trying it on. Now everybody does that. Find a conviction, hope that it is correct, have the resilience to go there. You have a lot of setbacks. Setbacks, not failures. You just have to keep going. What's the definition? If you pick yourself up, it's a setback. Have the self-awareness to listen to people around you. Have the humility to think, okay, this person's a good advice. No matter where it comes from, accept it. Team and people will follow you. So that's how I do a trusted team. These are the 4 characteristics I look out for. And I feel like that's the entrepreneurial spirit in its essence when I think about it.
All right, that was Hian Goh, the founding partner at Openspace Ventures. It was nice talking to you, and thank you for your time. And that is KL20, which is to leverage the whole startup scene. And this is the place where, with a team of Unlock Your Potential, be part of your digital future. And more updates coming up after this with my colleague Haris Ashraf Aslan and another venture capitalist. We'll be right back.